Before proceeding with the formal business of the meeting, I invite Yusuf Mohammed, a member of the Luton Youth Council, to offer us some reflective thoughts. Yusuf.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yusuf Mohammed, and I speak on behalf of the Luton Youth Council, a bold, resilient collective of young people who are not waiting permission to make change. We are reimagining Luton, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. I proudly represent over 30,000 young people in this town as a member of the UK Youth Parliament, and I speak with the fire and frustration of a generation that has had enough of being unheard. We are tired of decisions being made about us without us, tired of tokenism disguised as inclusion, tired of having to prove our worth in spaces that should already belong to us. But despite this, we continue to act, we continue to speak, and we continue to build. As youth councillors, we've led 3 powerful campaigns this year on mental health, domestic violence, and disability awareness. For disability awareness, we're actively working with changemakers and prominent voices to raise the profile of hidden disabilities, ensuring they're not forgotten in conversations around access and inclusion through interviews. For mental health, we've consulted directly with CAMHS to challenge cultural barriers and are working with family hubs to launch a wellbeing cafe, not just a place for services, but a place for belonging. For domestic violence, we created over 20 care packages for Women's Aid, contribute to a public art exhibition in the mall using high-vis jackets covered with survivor-inspired messages, and our campaign lead, Inaya, powerfully addressed this chamber on International Women's Day. We've worked regionally and nationally to push Luton's youth voice further. At the UK Youth Parliament's annual sitting, me and my fellow NYP made history as the first under-18s to represent Luton in the House of Commons, a chamber where for far too long, voices like ours were absent. And a personal milestone for me was being the first South Asian to represent Luton at the House of Commons. At the National Youth Agency Conference, hosted by our own MPs, I joined the chair and vice chair alongside several other youth organisations contributing to serious national conversations on reducing NEET figures and the rise of far-right extremism, especially how youth voices must shape the future. We're not just present, we are impactful. Locally, we fed directly into the Luton 2040 vision. Through the local plan consultation, we've advocated for healthier food access, better housing solutions, and long-term well-being. In the local transport plan, we advocated for transport to be more inclusive, not just physically, but emotionally, by addressing and catering to those who struggle with mental health, social anxiety, and navigational confidence. With Mary Seacole, we didn't just show up, we contributed. I, as well as other youth councillors, took part in a mini documentary on heritage. 2 others joined the podcast, and we all contributed to a focus group for the LIVE programme, a powerful initiative supporting young people with lived experiences of the care system and community intervention. We also sat down with our brilliant MP, Sarah Owen, a woman so grounded in what she does, to talk about gender equality in sports, period dignity in schools, and how equality must become standard, not special. And through our joint coalition, Big Beds United, we're tackling period poverty as a united voice with Bedford and Central Bedfordshire's youth councils. Through the youth council's meeting with Mayor Salim, she stated, "Luton is a microcosm of a global story. I too agree. Just like her, I was born in Sheffield and navigated my way to Luton, a tapestry of diversity and culture. And like many of you, my story is one of intersectionality. Working class, South Asian, young, political, and most of all, Lutonian. I've lived the very tensions I now speak out against. Thank you, Mayor Salim, for your unwavering dedication and impactful service this past and this year. Your leadership has inspired hope, unity, and progress, and we are deeply grateful for your tireless efforts to make Luton a better, more inclusive place for all. I know this. Luton is not the kind of town that yields to division or hate. We are far from perfect, but we are not a town that surrenders to fascist rhetoric or far-right dog whistles. We are a town of resistance, of resilience, of hope. And if the future being written elsewhere is one of youth exclusion, identity erasure, and injustice disguised as neutrality, that is not the Luton I know. That is not a future I'll be a part of. And that is a future none of us should accept. Thank you.
Yusuf Mohammed, gratitude from the Council for bringing your articulate, passionate voice here. And I hope that these words carry on through the year and not forgotten at the end of this meeting. Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening and welcome to this annual meeting of the Council. Before we begin, would members please sit in their allocated seats, silence their mobile phones, stand up when proposing and seconding items, switch microphones on to speak, and immediately afterwards observe appropriate standards of courtesy in debate. If there is an emergency, turn left out of the chamber, follow the green emergency exit signs to the main town hall entrance and assemble in St George's Square. Please note this meeting is being live streamed to the public. Any member of the public present is entitled to take photographs, film, audio record and report on the business held in public, but must not act in a disruptive manner. If they do so, they may be asked to leave. Please also note that voting will be by exception. Rather than by calling each member's name to record their vote, members will be asked to indicate if they wish to vote against a motion. If no member votes against, the item will be declared as carried. The outcomes will not be recorded in the minutes unless 6 members of the Council indicate that they wish for this to happen in accordance with Standing Order 21.2. Before we proceed further, I would like to offer an apology to Councillor Stevens. At the last Council meeting, when dealing with an amendment to a motion, I did not allow Councillor Stevens sufficient time to speak to that matter. As a result, Councillor Stevens was unable to conclude his statement, for which I am sorry. The first item of business is to elect the Mayor. I call upon Councillor Rob Roach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for congratulations on a great year being Mayor. Thank you. I call upon that Councillor Amy Nichols be, and she is hereby elected Mayor of the Borough of Luton. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I call upon Councillor Ajisola to second the nomination.
I second the nomination, Madam Mayor.
Are there any speakers to the nomination? Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to make a nomination for Mayor, please, for my good friend, Councillor Clive Mead. Thank you. Is there a seconder to that? Okay. Are there any further nominations? Council, we are going to have an election by show of hands. In the first instance, we will vote for Amy Nichols. So a simple show of hands, please, for Amy Nichols. Would you like to go? Now, if we could have a show of hands for Councillor Mead.
I declare that Councillor Amy Nichols is elected Mayor of the Borough of Luton. Congratulations. I invite Councillor Nichols to come to the dais to make a declaration of acceptance of office. Please note, a special meeting will take place on Thursday the 26th of June at 6 o'clock to invest the newly elected Mayor.
Madam Mayor-elect. Madam Mayor-elect, I have the honour to ask you to sign a formal declaration of acceptance of your office.
On behalf of the Council of this Borough, Amy Nichols, you are now formally invested with the chain and badge of Office of Mayor. May I be the first to congratulate you, Councillor Amy Nichols, on becoming Mayor of Luton. Thank you.
Okay, so then do I follow? Right. So the next item is the appointment of Deputy Mayor, and I call upon Councillor Ghulam Abbas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's with great pleasure that I propose that Councillor Shehanara Nasser to be elected as Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Luton.
I call upon Councillor Simon Hussain to second the motion.
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other speakers to the motion? Are there any other nominations?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Terry Keynes for Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second of the motion? Right. You've got Councillor Moore as seconder.
Yeah.
And then what's next then? Are there any other nominations? No? Okay. Right, so we'll move to a vote. So may I get a show of hands for Councillor Nasser? And, right, okay. May I get a show of hands for Councillor Keynes? Okay. Right, I thereby declare that Councillor Shanara Nazir is Deputy Mayor. May I invite Councillor Nasser to come to the dais to sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office? Oh, sorry. I read the wrong bit. Oh, it says Mayor here.
Madam Deputy Mayor-elect, I have the honour to ask you to sign the formal declaration of acceptance of your office.
Okay, so are there any apologies for absence from this meeting?
We have 3 apologies, Councillor Mahmood, Councillor Raja and Councillor Malik.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, include Councillor Franks as apologies, please.
We'll add that to the list.
Okay, so the next item of business is to receive the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Council held on the 18th of March as set out on pages 7 to 13. Does the Council approve the minutes and agree to me signing them as a correct record?
Agreed.
Okay, so...
That's fine. Okay.
Right, I have... so we've got disclosure of interest.
I have received the following disclosures of interest. None have been received for this meeting to be declared. The Monitoring Officer of the agenda apologies for item 19. Please note that when we reach this item 19, the Monitoring Officer will vacate his seat. The Council will be advised by the Deputy Monitoring Officer, Samantha McKeon, for that item.
Thank you, Mark. So, we move to item J. So, I now invite Councillor Simmons to deal with agenda item 7.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations. I move that alternative arrangements to those prescribed by sections 15 and 16 of the Housing and Local Government Act 1989 be adopted by the Council in relation to the bodies shown on page 14 of the agenda.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Okay, are there any questions? Right, are there any amendments? No? Okay, does any member wish to speak to the motion? Okay, the motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 8.
I move that under section 15 of the Local Government and Housing Act 1989, the Council determine that the allocation to the different political groups on the various committees be as set out in the table on page 20 of the agenda.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Okay, the motion is before the Council. Does any member vote against? No. The motion is carried. So I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 9.
I move that the membership of the committees of the Council, pools and panels be as set out on the schedule shown on pages 21 to 29 of the agenda. I further move the inclusion of Councillor Farouk in the membership of the Scrutiny Finance Review Group, the inclusion of Alia Khan in the membership of the Overview and Scrutiny Board.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
And are there any questions? No? Are there any amendments? Okay, does any member wish to speak to the motion? No. So the motion is before the council. Does any member vote against the proposal? No. So the motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 10.
I move that the membership and procedures for the appointments panel and redeployment panel be as set out on pages 30 to 31 of the agenda.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? Right. The motion is before the council. Does any member vote against? No. The motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 11.
The membership and procedures for the Housing Appeal and Review panel be as set out on pages 32 and 33 of the agenda.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the council. Does any member vote against? The motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 12.
I move that the membership and procedure for the Investigation and Disciplinary Committee and the Disciplinary Appeals Committee be as set out on pages 34 to 35 of the agenda.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the council. Does any member vote against? The motion is carried, and I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 13.
I move that, subject to the replacement of Councillor Abbas with myself on the Climate Change Advisory Board, the membership of the Executive Advisory Groups, Strategic Programme Boards and other bodies be as set out on pages 36 to 48 of the agenda, and that the executive bodies listed be commended to the Executive for approval.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the council. Does any member vote against? No. The motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 14.
I move the representation on the governance arrangements to apply to the Health and Wellbeing Board be as set out in the recommendations at paragraph 2, 1 and 2 on page 49.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the council. Does any member vote against? The motion is carried. I now invite Councillor Simmons to deal with agenda item 15.
I nominate Councillors Amjad Ali, Burnett, Mahmood Hussain and Salma Hussain for appointment as the Council's representatives on the Bedfordshire Fire and Rescue Authority, with Councillor Burnett as the Council's spokesperson.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? No. There are no nominations. Councillors Amjad Ali, Burnett, Mahmood Hussain and Salma Hussain are appointed as the Council's representatives on the Bedfordshire Fire and Rescue Authority, with Councillor Burnett as the Council's spokesperson. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 16.
Subject to the following further revisions, I move the recommendations set out at paragraph 2 on page 62 of the agenda in relation to the dates and times of meetings. Audit and Governance Committee on the 3rd of June at 6 p.m. is not proceeding. Full Council, the mayoral investiture will take place on Thursday the 26th of June and not 19th of June. The Health and Wellbeing Board will take place on Thursday the 19th of June at 6 p.m. and not the 26th of June. A South Ward Let's Talk will take place on the 9th of June at 6:30 p.m. A Farley Let's Talk will be held on 12th of June at 7 p.m. and that the executive dates listed be commended to the executive for approval.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the Council. Does any member vote against? No. The motion is carried. I call upon Councillor Simmons to move agenda item 17.
I move that those persons listed on page 74 be appointed to serve on the independent panel of members' allowances.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any amendments? Are there any speakers to the motion? The motion is before the Council. Does any member vote against? Okay, the motion is carried. I invite Councillor Simmons to deal with agenda item 18.
With effect from the 20th of May, in addition to myself, I have appointed the following members of the Executive: Ghulam Abbas, Umi Ali, Javed Hussain, Javeria Hussain, Maria Lovell, Basit Mahmood, Kachita Malik, Rob Roach and James Taylor. The allocation of executive portfolios has been circulated around the Council chamber for information.
Right.
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
I invite Councillor Simmons to deal with agenda item 19.
Madam Mayor, the purpose of this report is to request full council to approve amendments to the senior management structure. The report clearly lays out the reasons for this, and I would commend it to council to support.
Oh, wait. Sorry. So I move the recommendation set out at paragraph 2I to III on page 75. Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any questions? Are there any amendments? Does any member wish to speak to the motion? Okay. Does the motion is before the Council. Does any member vote against this proposal? The motion is carried. Okay, so that concludes the business for the annual meeting of the Council, and I declare this meeting is now closed. However, please stay in your seats, because the meetings of the Executive and committees of the Council will take place immediately, so don't go anywhere. Right, so I invite the Executive Leader to deal with the agenda for the Executive.
I have appointed Councillor Javed Hussain as Deputy Executive Leader and have circulated the content of executive portfolios around the Council chamber for noting. I move that, subject to the inclusion of Councillor Keynes as a representative on Public Transport Consortium Special Interest Group, the appointment of Councillor Nasser on the London Luton Airport Consultative Committee, the appointment of Councillor Shaw on the Crawley Green Sports and Social Club, and the change of representative from Councillor Shaw to Councillor Hazel Simmons on the Luton War Memorial Committee. The names set out on the schedule of pages 4 to 8 of the agenda for appointments to outside organisations, outside corporate bodies and charities be approved. the names set out on pages 36 to 48 of the Council's agenda for appointment to executive, advisory and other bodies be approved. The dates and times of meetings of the executive set out at agenda item 10.1 be approved. In relation to agenda item 11, the relevant portfolio holder and myself be appointed as members of the executive to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
And are there any speakers to the motion? Are there any amendments? Okay. Members of the executive only, do you agree?
Agree.
The motion's carried. I will now deal with Administration and Regulation Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Alia Khan for the chair.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Administration and Regulation Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Alia Khan, you're elected Chair of Administration and Regulation Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
I nominate Councillor Ajisola as my Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Administration and Regulation Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Ajisola is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Khan please deal with the remaining item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Further to agenda item 7, I nominate myself and Vice Chair as the members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Members of Administration and Regulation Committee only, do you agree? The motion is carried. I will now deal with Audit and Governance Committee. Will a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Burnett as the chair.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Right. Members of Audit and Governance only, do you agree? Councillor Burnett, you are elected Chair of Audit and Governance Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
I nominate Councillor Farouk as my Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Audit and Governance only, do you agree? Councillor Farouk is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Burnett please deal with the remaining item?
Further to agenda item 7, I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Members of Audit and Governance Committee only, do you agree?
Agreed.
The motion is carried. Right, I will now deal with Constitution Committee. Will a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Mahmood Hussain.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded.
Members of Constitution Committee only, do you agree? Yes. Councillor Mahmood Hussain, you're elected Chair of Constitution Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
Simon Hussain as the Vice Chair of the committee.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Constitution Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Simon Hussain is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Mahmood Hussain please deal with the remaining item?
One, I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the member of the committee to be consulted before the officers are urgent action.
Is the proposal seconded? Members of Constitution Committee only, do you agree? Okay, I will now deal with Development Management Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Dave Taylor as chair.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. Members of Development Management Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Dave Taylor, you are elected Chair of Development Management Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
I nominate Councillor Alia Khan as my Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Right. Members of the Development Management Committee only, do you agree? Okay, Councillor Alia Khan is elected Vice Chair. Oh, sorry. That's what it says here. Yeah, Councillor Ali Khan is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Dave Taylor please deal with the remaining item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Further to agenda item 7, I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Right, members of Development Management Committee only, do you agree? The motion is carried. Right, we will now deal with Licensing Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair? Is the motion seconded? Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations?
And agree.
Right, members of Licensing Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Mahmood Hussain, you're elected Chair of Licensing Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
Sanib Raja as Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, members of Licensing Committee only, do you agree? Okay, so Councillor Zanib Raja is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Mahmood Hussain please deal with the remaining items?
Agenda item 7.1, nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the member of the committee to be consulted before the officers take urgent action. And further to the agenda item 8.1, I move that the membership of the Licence Committee be set out on the schedule on pages 22 to 31 of the agenda.
Thank you. Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Right, members of Licensing Committee only, do you agree? The motion is carried. Right, we'll now deal with Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I now nominate Councillor Wynne.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee only, do you agree? Councillor Wynne, you are elected Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I nominate Councillor Hanif as my Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded.
Are there any other nominations? Members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee only, do you agree? So Councillor Hanif is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Wynne please deal with the remaining items?
Thank you. I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Madam Mayor, as a point of order, I think we've missed one of the Vice Chairs, according to the script.
No, that applies to Overview and Scrutiny Board, not Overview and Scrutiny Committee.
Okay, understood, sorry.
Okay. Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Members of Overview and Scrutiny Committee only, do you agree? The motion is carried. I will now deal with the Overview and Scrutiny Board. Would a member of that board please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Wynne.
Is the motion seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Overview Scrutiny Board only, do you agree? Councillor Wynne, you are elected Chair of the Overview Scrutiny Board. Please nominate your 2 Vice Chairs.
I nominate Councillors Hanif and Councillor Azam Khan as my Vice Chairs.
Is the proposal seconded? Are there any other nominations? Right, members of Overview and Scrutiny Board only, do you agree? Councillors Hanif and Councillor Azlan Khan, you are elected Vice Chairs of the Overview and Scrutiny Board. I will now deal with Petitions and Representation Board. Will a member of that board please nominate a chair?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I nominate Councillor Dave Taylor?
Is the motion seconded? Are there any other nominations? No. Members of Petitions and Representations Board only, do you agree? Councillor Dave Taylor, you're elected Chair of the Petitions and Representations Board. Please nominate a Vice Chair.
I nominate Councillor Simmons as my Vice Chair.
Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to follow this. Seconded.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Petitions and Representations Board only, do you agree? Councillor Simmons is elected Vice Chair. Would Councillor Dave Taylor please deal with the remaining item?
Madam Mayor, further to agenda item 7.1, I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action.
Is the proposal seconded? Members of Petitions and Representations Board only, do you agree? The motion is carried. I will now deal with Scrutiny Children's Services Review Group. Would a member of that group please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Bridgen.
Is the motion seconded? Are there any other nominations? Members of Scrutiny Children's Services Review Group only, do you agree? Councillor Bridgen, you are elected Chair of the Scrutiny Children's Services Review Group. I will now deal with the Scrutiny Finance Review Group. Would a member of that group please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Franks, Madam Mayor.
Is the motion seconded? Are there any other nominations? Members of Scrutiny Finance Review Group only, do you agree? Councillor Franks is elected Chair of the Scrutiny Finance Review Group. So we will now deal with Scrutiny Health and Social Care Review Group. Would a member of that group please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Underwood.
Is the motion seconded?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Scrutiny Health and Social Care Review Group only, do you agree? Councillor Underwood, you are elected Chair of the Scrutiny Health and Social Care Review Group. I will now deal with Standards Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I nominate Councillor Nichols.
Is the motion seconded?
Madam Mayor, it is.
Are there any other nominations? Members of Standards Committee only, do you agree? I have been elected Chair of the Standards Committee. I nominate Councillor Fatima Begum as my Vice Chair. Is the proposal seconded? Are there any other nominations? Members of Standards Committee only, do you agree? Right, Councillor Fatima Begum is elected Vice Chair. I will now deal with the remaining item. So, further to agenda item 7, I nominate myself and the Vice Chair as the members of the committee to be consulted before officers take urgent action. Further to agenda item 8, I move that the membership of the local assessment and local adjudication panels be as set out in the schedules 8A and B set out on pages 47 to 77 of the agenda. Is the proposal seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Members of Standards Committee only, do you agree? Agree? Yeah. The motion is carried. So we will now deal with the Taxi and Private Hire Licensing Committee. Would a member of that committee please nominate a chair?
I would like to nominate Councillor Rumi Chowdhury.
Is the motion seconded? Are there any other nominations? Yep. Members of the Taxi and Private Hire Licensing Committee only, do you agree? Okay. Councillor Chowdhury is elected the chair of the Taxi and Private Hire Licensing Committee. A vice chair will be elected at the first meeting of that committee. Would Councillor Chowdhury please deal with the remaining item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the membership of the taxi and private hire licensing panels be as set out on page 80 of the agenda.
Is the proposal seconded? Members of Taxi and Private Hire Licensing Committee only, do you agree? Right, the motion is carried. So that concludes the meetings of the Executive and all committees, and I thank you for your attendance. Right, have a wonderful evening.